Welcome in to the Wildcats Today podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak, writer and editor over at Wildcats Today. I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Carson Nash. Carson, it's Friday. How we doing, buddy?
Happy Friday, y'all. Go Cats. The Missouri game was a big win. It was an important one for sure.
Big win. You're right about that. We have a new plan. Like I said, we're going to keep you all updated on how we structure this because I want to keep everybody in the know. We're going to start this show talking about the A&M game. And then we'll talk about Missouri, the matchup, what we saw on Tuesday, the last few minutes of the show. So if you're interested in that, stick around. But we're going to start talking about this Texas A&M game. And we're going to get into the X's and the O's. But, Carson, one thing I want to talk about that frustrates me a little bit before we get into that is this. You know, everybody in the top five lost except for UConn. And, there's still Saturday that has to be played out. Tennessee lost. I wanted to say that because I know that'll make a lot of people listening happy. And I look at this and I've seen a lot of Kentucky fans on Twitter/X saying, where are we going to be ranked in the AP poll next week? Oh, are we going to be number 2, 3, 4? Here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. You got to win this basketball game first. Texas A&M, I wrote it over at Wildcats Today. If y'all want to go check that out, I'll put that in the video description. But I wrote, this is a 9-6 Texas A&M basketball team that, in my opinion, is a lot better than 9-6. The way they play the game, are they shooting the ball well? No, they're not, and we'll get into that. But they kind of ugly up the basketball game, and sometimes that can take a team like Kentucky that is really lives and dies by their offense and hurt them a little bit. So I don't think you can just write this down as a win. Carson, what say you about this?
Well, I think A&M is going to be a very, very hungry basketball team come Saturday. I think the arena is going to be nuts. You know how they do down there. They do a really good job when it comes to student interaction down at A&M. But this is a physical A&M team, and this team was projected to be one of the top 4 teams in the SEC this year. So them being, 0-2 to start out the
0-2 in SEC play. Losses to Auburn, in Auburn, and LSU in at Texas A&M. So a home loss and a road loss.
So the Auburn game isn't as surprising because winning at Auburn is very hard to do. But the LSU game does surprise me because that's a home game, and LSU really isn't supposed to be that great of a team. But A&M will be fired up. They're going to be hungry, and they're going to get after us.
You're right. You're exactly right. And once again, I mean, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to throw it out there. I am concerned about this basketball game, truly. I didn't like our matchup against Florida. How did that play out? The Cats won a close ball game, and they really, I mean, you could argue
having to come back from double digits.
Having to make a miraculous, comeback to win that ball game. And it's like this A&M team. Now, need to add the point. Florida is much better offensively than Texas A&M is offensively, and we'll get into the numbers. But we're going to keep beating this rebounding drum. We're going to beat it all day. And I'll tell you, they are the number 1 team in offensive rebounds. It's funny. You know who number 2 is? The Gators, which we talked about that. They were number 4 when we previewed the Florida game. Now they're all the way up to number 2. Texas A&M is number 1 in offensive rebounding at 18.33 offensive rebounds a game. Now, my dad watched the Auburn game. I was obviously covering the Kentucky game. I was at Rep watching that game. And he called me after and he said, listen, I don't think Texas A&M, I think the reason they get so many offensive rebounds is because their shots are hitting strictly iron. And it's a good point. I rewatched a little bit of that, and he's right. Now, Buzz Williams teaches and coaches a philosophy of everybody crash the boards. Let's go get rebounds. So, yes, that's part of his philosophy. But I do think this number is a little bit inflated by flat out how bad of a shooting team they are.
Yeah, I agree. I would say that the more shots that you miss, the more rebounds that are going to be available. It's just a known stat.
That's a fact.
It's a fact. But this A&M team is not nearly as bad of a shooting team as they've been shooting right now.
Agreed.
And they've got some veteran pieces that are
Mhm.
great guards that have been in these past years part of their runs. When they make spectacular runs in the postseason, SEC tournament, or even the NCAA tournament, these guards have been an impact in that.
Yeah. And one thing I'll add, the preseason SEC Player of the Year, Wade Taylor, IV, the fifth? The fifth? Four? No, it's what?
Yeah, it's the
No,
fourth.
what's
Come on
the
now.
fifth?
V. Fifth is just V.
Okay. Scrap that. Didn't say that. But Wade Taylor, I didn't get a degree in Roman numerals, Carson, but Wade Taylor was the SEC preseason, Player of the Year, and he's not been good. And I'll tell you one thing, you wouldn't know it watching him because he shoots the rock. I mean, he is going to shoot the rock and shoot
And he
it.
scores the rock, just not at an efficient pace right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen to these last couple of games. Against Auburn, I mean, he had a great game against Auburn. I don't want to lock him there. He was 2 for 16. So that was a joke, Carson. We laugh at these. But 0 for 8 from 3, 2 for 16 from the field, 8 points, couple steals, couple rebounds, 1 assist. So it's not even like he's dishing the ball,
He's a
1
ball.
assist. He is Michael Porter Jr. for those NBA fans here. But I mean, LSU game, 8 for 20 against whoever PV is that they played, 5 for 12, 2 for 8, 10 for 22 against Houston, 3 for 14, 4 for 10, 2 for 10. I mean, these are historically awful numbers for a basketball player. And I'm going to be honest with you, and it's going to be that Kentucky cliche, but that a little bit scares me.
Yeah.
Just because
he's due.
He's due for that game where he goes for 34 and he makes 7 threes or something.
Oh, 100%.
And, I mean, it's hard to break down a sporting event and go and have part of your opinion on it be, well, he's due. But in all reality, I mean, if you look at these numbers, this guy's due. I don't know how else to say that or to break that down. You just don't want this to be the game where he shoots lights out and he's great.
You need DJ to step up big time defensively.
Yeah. And I saw a stat on Twitter, DJ, when defending, opponents are shooting, when he is the main defender, are shooting 48% from the field. That is not very good.
No. That's some
not
good defense right there.
Our best defender actually was Justin Edwards, with opponents shooting 28% against him. But I don't feel great about this game. I mean, like I said, really all you can break it down. Well, let's go through the numbers for Texas A&M. They averaged 73.2 points a game. They averaged 42.9 rebounds a game, 11.9 assists, 7.9 steals, 2.7 blocks, 10.6 turnovers, which is not bad.
No.
Not a bad number. 40.1 shooting from the field, 71% from the free throw line, and 26% from deep. Those numbers are all pretty awful. Not all of them, but the field goal percentage and three-point percentage are not good.
Yeah.
So, Carson, what do you make of those numbers?
I think in this game, they don't matter. I think all those numbers are off the table in this game. This is a brand new game. They're hungry. If they lose this game, they are completely out of the running for the SEC, I would say, because there's not going to be – we're going to have the head-to-head over them if we win, and they'll be 3 games behind. So I think that numbers in this game don't matter. What I think does matter, though, is that they don't have a whole lot of height. They do have a lot of physicality in Henry Coleman and another forward, Garcia, but those guys are 6'8" and like 6'7". They do have one guy who's 6'10", but he only plays 11.3 minutes a game. And his name is
it the Levesque?
Yeah.
6'11".
Yeah, but I think in this game, I think the X factor is going to be Trey Mitchell, because he's been coming into his own physically, because he had 14 rebounds against Mizzou, and he had a double-double against Florida. So that's 2 straight double-doubles for Trey, and he's going to be taller than his opponents, and he is so much better when he's taller than the guy he's going against. Not a knock on him, because if he was 7'1", he would be basically Jokic. So not a knock on Trey, but when he's taller than his defender, he shreds him.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. First of all, very important detail. I fact checked you on the Roman numerals, and you were right. So I owe you one there. I was hoping you'd be wrong. You were right. But yeah, running through their team, Henry Coleman's a force down low.
Mm-hmm.
Henry, he's not the biggest guy in
And
the
he's
world.
A veteran. He knows how to play.
He knows how to use his body. He knows how to get fouled, how to get to the line. He knows how to get the and ones too. I was watching the replay against that Auburn game, and he was doing a good job getting to the line, but making the bucket to go with it. So what I'm saying is Kentucky's a better basketball team. There's no arguments to it. There's no debating that. That's a fact. But you're playing on their home court. They're going to be motivated. They need a win. We all know Kentucky's coming to town. People want this win. The fans want the win. The team wants this win. This is a ball game that Texas A&M not only wants, but frankly, flat out needs to pick up a quad one win. They've had a tough schedule in the non-conference, and then you thought, okay, well, that's non-conference. They'll start out SEC play with at least a win over LSU, and then a tough game against Auburn. No, they're 0-2. So they need this one. So how about this, Carson? We were talking about this before the show, and I think this is a good time to throw this in there. So your thing. So before this, Carson calls me the other day, and he's like, I've got an idea to talk about on the show. And I said, well, I was actually busy at the time. I was with my grandparents doing something. And I said, tell me when we get ready to record. And then we got ready to record, and I'm like, you know what? Spring it on me while we're recording. So y'all are going to get a full-on reaction. I can't collect my thoughts. I just am going to tell you flat out what I think about what this guy has got to say. Carson, what was that thought that you've been dying to share with me?
I think when it's all said and done, stats may not back this up, but I believe it. I think Trey Mitchell will be a more impactful transfer than Oscar Tshiebwe was with Kentucky.
I wish you had told me that before we recorded. I don't know how I don't know how to collect thoughts here. Wow.
Just look at his stats and look at how he impacts the game. He opens up the floor so much for us, and he allows us to score way more points. I just think we could not have played this way if Oscar Tshiebwe was on the team, because his basketball IQ was not high. It wasn't. It just wasn't.
When you explained it to me, when you were like, because he didn't tell me what it was, but you said it was like a player over another player. I thought you were going to say something like Rob needs to start over DJ or something like that. And I'd be like, okay, I'm not going to yell at you over that. That is something. Now, I'll tell you this. You're right. Obviously, the numbers are not going to back you on that.
No, they're not. And I love Oscar to death.
Yeah,
Oscar was one of my favorite players to watch. He's a great person. He's an awesome Kentucky player.
Yeah.
But this is just what I believe.
Here's where I agree with you. And I guess in essence, maybe I agree with what you're saying, but I don't agree with you from a number standpoint.
Yeah.
He's not going to average. I don't remember what Tshiebwe averaged, but it was.
It's nuts. Yeah. His numbers are like, there's not many people that had ever done that.
Yeah. But from an importance to this team, I agree with you on that. I think the importance of Trey Mitchell to this team, even in the little things, we heard from Reed Shepard today at a little media thing this morning, and he talked about how Trey Mitchell's the old guy. He made a joke. It was funny. Reed basically said, a lot of guys, we get in with practice and we want to go do something. We want to go get dinner or go bowling or go do something. And what does Trey Mitchell do? He's, now Reed said he goes home and he goes to bed. That's what Trey Mitchell does, because he's an old man, is what Reed said. So, but seriously, and Coach Cal talked about it after the game. I wrote an article about it over at Wildcats Today. Coach Calipari said, listen, he is the glue of this team. He is the guy. We rely on him. I rely on him. This team relies on him. I think he means so much to this Kentucky team. So I agree with you on that. I think what we should do is have that be like a 10-minute show one day and just have like a debate on this, because I don't disagree with you. Then, like I said, those of you listening, we're not saying that his numbers are better. We know the numbers aren't better. You're arguing from what he does for this Kentucky basketball team standpoint, and I think you've got a point there. It's a conversation.
And here, another point of mine on that topic is, I think Trey is a much better leader than Oscar Tshiebwe was.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Tshiebwe could get his teammates connected the way that Trey gets these guys connected.
And I agree with you. Could that be in part, this is just a good group of Kentucky players, relationship-wise? Could be. But I agree with what you're saying. 100% I agree with you on that. So that's interesting. That's a good. Let's do that this week. Let's sit down and let's record this and have this be a conversation. We're going to do that.
Sounds good.
Those of you that are interested in this conversation, bookmark it. We'll have it again this week and have it be its own episode. But final thoughts on the Texas A&M game, Carson. Give me a score prediction, important players, key matchups. Give me final thoughts, and we'll talk a couple minutes about this Missouri game call today.
Yeah, so A&M, it came out as we're underdog by 1 point.
Is that right?
Oh, is it 2.5 now?
First, that's what Cameron just said a minute ago.
Okay, maybe it grew because it was at 1 when it opened.
You tell your thoughts. I'll check. You tell your thoughts.
So I think the Cats are going to cover. I think the Cats go in. I think they win 82-78. I think that's right where it should be, because Texas A&M does muck it up a little bit, and they do miss a lot of shots and pull it back out and stuff like that.
You took the thing I was
so
say. Muck it up.
It wastes time, and so we're gonna see a lower scoring game than like 90s. But
yeah,
I
2.5
would take
now.
us to cover.
I would take 2.5. It is 2.5. Taking us to cover 2.5.
I would take us to cover 2.5.
Did you give me an MVP?
The MVP is going to be Antonio Reeves. I think he has one of those games where he's hitting his 3-pointers and he's just on fire. That's what I think.
I'm with you. I have, as I said earlier, I think Texas A&M is going to muck it up. Thanks for pulling. That's like when someone says your joke at like a party or a social event, and then you just have to sit there. But I'm not going to let you take credit for it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not that good of a friend to let you have it. So, yes, Texas A&M mucks it up. I think Kentucky wins this game 78-74. It's going to be a close one. This is going to be a sweaty game, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, don't expect to have an easy breezy Saturday. I think this is going to be a stressful one, but I do think the Cats get the win. It's going to be a fun one, and we'll be back to break it down. Carson, now this could turn into a couple-minute conversation, so I might hold you a few more minutes than I thought, but I got to ask you a question, and it's very important. I think the question was going to be, when do we hit the panic button on Justin Edwards? I want to change the question. I, frankly, have already hit the panic button on Justin Edwards. But my question, rather than that, is, and maybe you say we shouldn't hit it yet, and if that you can argue that, but if you have hit the panic button like I have, what is the answer with that?
I think the answer is Adu Thiero getting healthy.
Yeah,
that's what I think that answer is, because I think Adu can step into his role, and I don't want to say play it better because that's poor taste, but I would say that Adu could give you the same, if not more, than what Justin's giving you right now, just based on a pure athletic standpoint, and he just goes and gets it. He goes 100 every second.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And then, do you think he's out there on Saturday? Do you think he's out there tomorrow?
I've heard mixed things. I honestly don't feel good about it at this moment of time. I mean, things change. I mean, we thought he was going to play, and then we heard he wasn't playing at the last game. So things change. He could end up playing tomorrow, but as of right now, I'm operating as if he is not playing.
I'm with you on that. I mean, it's just Coach Cal's verbiage after after the Missouri game was kind of just like
strange.
I don't think you know how he is. I mean,
he beats around the bush.
I'll give him credit. No, I disagree with you, actually. I think Coach Cal's pretty, I think he's pretty open about that stuff. Like, now, I mean, he keeps some things to him, but if he feels good about something, he'll tell you he feels good about it. And if he doesn't know, he doesn't know. I think he tries to be candid, because he knows if he's like, I think we might see him out there, and then he's not out there, he knows people will be mad. So I think now he's always a little more honest than he used to be. So
no, that's definitely, that point is true. He's definitely more honest than he used to be. Yeah, that is 100% true.
But I don't feel good about Adu being out there. And as we said heading into that Florida game, I don't.
It's an Adu game.
Hero game.
Yes, it's an Adu game. These games are like perfect for him. He's taller than everybody on the court. He's more athletic.
Stronger. Yeah. I mean, so that's final thoughts on the Texas A&M game. Listeners, do us a favor, leave the score predictions and MVP of the game in the comment, and hit that like and subscribe button. That helps us out a ton. So now let's talk for a minute about this Missouri game. Carson, what did you think about this ball game? I've got the stats pulled up, so if you have any stat questions, just holler at me. But what were your thoughts on this ball game?
Of course, I'm going to talk about my guy, Trey Mitchell. He had a heck of a game. 20 and 14. I mean, that is just everything you ask for out of your big guy.
Yeah.
And I had seen before the game, I called you and talked to you about it, but KSR in their little bet pregame thing, they took the under Trey Mitchell, 23.5 points, rebounds, assists. I called Andrew. I was like, that's crazy. I was like, this is a Trey Mitchell game. They're not very tall. He's going to dominate. And, of course, he goes out there and he guts it. He guts it out. That kid
he almost hit the over on that line just with points.
Yeah, and he played 40 minutes.
Yeah.
He played 40 minutes. That's the craziest stat about all of that.
You know what's funny? Whichever one of them, our buddies over at KSR, I wonder who it was that made it. I wonder if it was but who that picked that line. But you know, they you couldn't have felt good about it when Trey comes out and nails 2 threes to start the game.
Yeah, whenever Trey,
we're in trouble.
Whenever Trey starts talking a little bit of trash, you know he's
whenever
about
you
it.
See that,
yeah,
little, you know, you're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought that Bradshaw did a few good things in this game. I thought that Rob did a great job bouncing back, but there were some silly fouls from Rob. Some silly fouls. But he scored 23 points on 6 of 7 shooting, 3 of 3 from deep in 19 minutes.
It's insane. He went.
I mean, it really does sound like my stat line at the YMCA every night. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it sounds about right. 0 for 11.
Okay, buddy. But so I was really impressed with Rob in this game. You know, and so, you know, a little thing about Reed I want to say is Reed's going to have games where he doesn't do much. And it's not, but what I like about Reed is he's not Wade Taylor the fourth, where he is going to go 1 of 37 from the field. Reed, it wasn't a Reed night, wasn't a Reed night. So he was 1 for 4 from the field. Okay. I'm not going to yell at him for going, 1 of 3 from deep, 4 assists, 3 points. I'm not going to yell at him about that. I'm not. He's not always going to score 20 and go, 4 or 5 from 3. You're going to have games where he does do that, but it wasn't a Reed game and he was fine. DJ Wagner is scorching hot right now. And I love that he's not doing silly things. He knows that the 3-point ball is not his game right now. What does he do? He shoots 2, he makes 1 of them. He can shoot 2 or 3. I'm not going to yell about 2 or 3. I just don't want him sitting back there, because what he does at an elite level is put that ball on the ground and get to the rim and score. In the beginning of the year, he was getting to the rim and he was missing the layups. Now he's making the layups. DJ Wagner is getting hot at the right time. Thoughts on that?
The difference right now is our guards are playing efficient basketball. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't see us shooting a crazy amount of field goals that A, are bad shots, or B, don't have a pass to them. Like, you're taking good quality shots, and you're not, like, you don't see Reeves shooting 1 for 20 this year. Like, that's not happening. They're taking good, high-quality shots and getting good percentage looks.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I'm really happy with the guard play right now, and I'm happy with the play down low. I mean, a game like what I love about the front court on this team is, Hugo didn't do anything in this game. He had 8 minutes. He was 0 for 1. He had 3 rebounds. 0 assists, 0 fouls, 0 points, 0 for 0 or 0 for 1 from the field. He didn't do much, but your other 2 guys were great. Aaron Bradshaw was great. Great. He's 5 for 9. 5 for 9, missed his only 3, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 10 points. I was happy with the way Aaron played. Trey Mitchell was outstanding. DJ Wagner was great. Reeves, once again, it was kind of like it was a Trey Mitchell and it was a Dillingham and a DJ Wagner game. And that, we'll wrap up with this point. I'll let you share your final thoughts, Carson. But like, what's so great about this Kentucky offense is Antonio Reeves, 14 points, which for him is, whatever, 14 points. Reed Shepherd, 3 points. Justin Edwards, 4 points. Okay. And the Cats still score 90 because every night somebody's going to go off. I keep telling myself, I'm like, one of these days this offense is going to go cold. and Kentucky's going to lose a game. I keep telling myself that. But then I go, okay, well, yeah, maybe Reeves has a bad night, and so does DJ Wagner. But then we've got Reed Shepherd and Rob Dillingham and Aaron Bradshaw. Okay, Bradshaw and Trey Mitchell have a bad game. You got Antonio Reeves. You got Rob and Reed both have a bad game. You got DJ. You got Reeves. This is my point. There is no way that all of these guys who can score the basketball, in my opinion, are going to go cold on the same night, which is why Kentucky, I don't think, is ever going to get blown out of a basketball game this year.
No, and I think it was a pretty boring game. It kind of stayed within 10. It's kind of stayed within 10 the whole game. But I think there were stretches where we played really poorly, but also stretches where we played great. And I think the defense vastly improved from the first half to the second half because their guards were getting clean looks in the first half. And
I'm gonna fight you on that one. I'm gonna fight you on that.
Okay, but they didn't make a field goal from the 10-20 mark down all the way to the 42nd mark in the second half.
Yes, and that's undeniable. You know what's funny? I watched the tape back on this because of that. They were getting some good looks, and they weren't falling. Mm-hmm. So do you call that good defense or do you call that lucky defense? I think you could pick and choose. It's kind of like, you look back after a game, they asked Jared Goff if that game against the Saints, was that pass interference? No, it wasn't. The ref didn't call it. Can you call it good defense because those shots didn't go in? I don't think you can, personally, me. I wasn't stoked with the defense there. I agree with what you're saying. You're right. Everything you said is statistically true. They didn't score well in the second half. Missouri didn't. But they're still getting some good looks. And you play against a team where those good looks are falling, and I don't think that's Texas A&M. I don't think that's who they are. But, you got to go play Tennessee. You got to go play Auburn. Against those teams, if they have good looks, they're going to fall. So the defense, in my opinion, has to be better. End of story.
Oh, 100%. It does have to be better. But holding them without a field goal for 10 minutes, even if it is lucky, it's still impressive.
I do agree with you. I do agree with you. And being able to, collect rebounds, not give up second chance opportunities.
It's a fourth of the game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do agree with you. I'm just saying I still think it's got to be better, which I'm not saying you disagree with. I know you agree with that, but I just, So I'm with you there. Carson, anything else before we call it a day?
No, I think that's it. I think the Cats are in a good position right now. I think they're still growing. I think the best ball is right in front of them, and I hope Adu gets healthy for sure. But I think we do end up pulling this one out, and it'll be a close one, though.
I agree with you. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, leave in the comments score prediction and MVP of the game. Hit that like and subscribe button. That helps a ton. And as always, thank you for tuning in to the Wildcats Today podcast. We will be back next week to recap this Texas A&M game and talk about the ball game coming up. Hope everybody has an outstanding weekend. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. Have a great rest of your day today, and we will see y'all next time.